Hello students, today we're going to look at multiplying polynomials. Now we have looked at exponent rules and the rules that we have to follow when we have exponents involved of our variables and all. And so all of those rules are going to be very important as we multiply polynomials. We also looked at adding and subtracting polynomials, and those are going to come in handy too because we have to know which are like terms so that we can add the correct things together if that's necessary. Okay, so let's look at multiplying polynomials. The first polynomial that we are going to multiply is 5x squared y times the quantity of 3x plus 8y. 3x plus 8y. Okay, distributive property. Same thing as distributive property. In this case, I've got a monomial multiplied by a binomial. So I'm going to distribute the monomial to everything inside the binomial. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is 5x squared y times 3x. So let's take our coefficients first, 5 and 3. I know 5 times 3 is 15. X squared times x, multiplying the same base, add the exponent. That would be x to the third. There's no other y, so I just bring down the y. 15x to the third y. And now I've got 5x squared times 8y. Sorry, 5x squared y times 8y. So I know 5 times 8 is positive 40, so it's going to be plus 40. X squared times, there's no other x, so it's just going to be x squared. And then y times y is y squared. Because y times y, multiply the same base, add the exponents. The exponent is 1 on each of those y's, so that's why it's y squared. Are these like terms? No, because the variables don't have exactly the same exponents. So they're not like terms. So I'm done. 15x to the third y plus 40x squared y squared is the simplified version of our multiplication of polynomials. The next one we're going to look at is going to be multiplying a monomial by a trinomial. So we have 5c squared d squared to the third times the quantity of 2c minus 5d to the fifth minus 2cd. Okay? Monomial times a trinomial because there are 3 terms in the polynomial. So again, distributive property, but we want to multiply coefficients by coefficients. Do you remember what a coefficient is? It's a number in front of the variable. Oh, okay, good. And then we're going to do variable by variable. Okay? So 5c squared d to the cubed times 2c. 5 times 2 is 10. C squared times c is c to the third. And then d to the third is left. Okay? So that was that. And now we're going to do this one. 5c squared d cubed times negative 5d to the fifth. That minus sign is important because I got 5 times negative 5, which is negative 25, so I put a minus sign. And then c squared, there's no other c, so I do c squared. D to the third times d to the fifth is d to the eighth. So I've got negative 25c squared d to the eighth. And then the last one we're going to do is 5c squared d cubed times negative 2cd. So 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. And c squared times c is c to the third. Remember the exponent of this c is 1. Math Council of 1508. And d cubed times d would be d to the fourth. Again, multiplying the same base, add the exponents. And there's our solution. There are no like terms because none of my terms have the exact same variables with the exact same exponents. So I'm done. Now we're going to get a little crazy on the next problems that we do because now I'm going to multiply a binomial by a trinomial. Binomial by a trinomial. Okay, so I got my binomial, 6x plus 5, and I'm going to multiply it by a trinomial, which is going to be 2x squared minus 3x minus 5. Okay, binomial, 2 terms, trinomial, 3 terms. And so how do we do this? We have to stay organized. I'm telling you, stay organized. The way I like to do it is I'm going to take the 6x and I'm going to multiply the 6x times everything in the trinomial. And then I'm going to come back and take the 5 and multiply the 5 by everything in the trinomial. It takes organization. Okay? I'm going to do it in 2 different colors. So that'll help you figure out the organization part. So I'm going to start with my 6x, and I'm going to multiply it by 2x squared. 6 times 2 is 12. X times x squared is x to the third. I'll tell you, if you're talking or not paying attention or watching TV and all of this kind of doing stuff, while you're trying to do these problems, it's so easy to make mistakes because we forget to add or subtract or multiply, whatever. So now 6x times negative 3x, 6 times negative 3 is negative 18, x times x is x squared. And now I'm going to do 6x times negative 5. 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. And then x, there's no other x, so it's just negative 30x. So here's where I'm going to change colors. And now I'm going to multiply the 5 times everything in the trinomial. Okay? I'm going to keep going in here. This is a positive 5 times a positive 2x squared. So 5 times 2 is positive 10, and then x squared, because there's no other x. And now I'm going to take this 5, I'm going to go over the top because it's easier that way. And now I'm going to take the 5 times a negative 3x. And 5 times negative 3 is negative 15, and there's an x. And then now I take the 5 and multiply it by the negative 5, and 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. So there is my multiplication. But I'm not done, because now I have to check for like terms. And I'm going to adjust this a little bit because I see there's a bit of a glare, and that's not going to help one tiny bit. Okay, so there's a bit of a glare, but we'll be working this out. So I need to see, are there any like terms that I have? Are there any more x cubes anywhere? No, 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 no. No more x cubes, so I just bring down the 12x cubed. Okay, do I have any more x squared? There's an x squared, and there's an x squared. So I have to combine like terms. Negative 18x squared plus 10x squared is negative 8x squared. Negative 18 plus 10. Remember, I'm adding and subtracting, so the variable in the exponent does not change. When I'm adding and subtracting, the variables in the exponents don't change. The coefficient is the only thing that changes. When I multiply it up here, the exponents changed. But when I'm adding and subtracting, the exponents do not change. Okay? So then now I have just a plain x and a plain x. Negative 30x minus 15x is negative 45x. Because negative 30 minus 15 is negative 45. And then the x's stay the same. And then all I'm left with is a minus 25. There's no other constants. And so my final answer is 12x cubed minus 8x squared minus 45x minus 25. I'm going to say this again because it gets so important, because we've learned so many things over the course of the last couple of days. When I'm multiplying variables, the exponents change. When I'm adding variables, the exponents do not change. Okay, good. Hope you got it. But we're not done, because there's another one coming up. Well, if you thought multiplying a binomial by a trinomial is crazy, here we go. We're going to do a trinomial by a trinomial. You got to stay organized, people. Got to stay organized, and you got to write so you can read what you wrote. So here we go. Here is our trinomial. We're going to do 2y squared plus 3y minus 1 times, and I'm so sorry about this glare, 2y squared plus 3y minus 1 times the quantity of 3y squared minus 5y plus 2. Okay? Now, we're multiplying a trinomial by a trinomial, so we got to make sure that we know that our exponents are going to change in the multiplication process. Okay? So I'm going to do 3 different colors. I'm going to start with red. I'm going to do 2y squared times everything in the other trinomial. Okay? So 2y squared times 3y squared. 2 times 3 is 6. Y squared times y squared is y to the 4th. Now 2y squared times negative 5y. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Y squared times y is y to the 3rd, or y cubed. And then 2y squared times 2 2 times 2 is positive 4, so I got to put a plus sign. I have to put a sign between each term. Either a negative or a positive, you have to put the sign. Okay? So 2 times 2 is positive 4, so plus 4y squared. And now I'm going to switch colors. I'm going to choose blue. So I'm going to take blue and I'm going to multiply the 3y times everything in the other trinomial. Okay? 3y times 3y squared is positive 9y to the third. And 3y, I guess I should draw arrows. And 3y times negative 5y is negative 15y squared. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Y times y is y squared. And 3y times 2 is positive 6y. Now the last term. So now I'm going to take this negative 1, I'm going to start on top, and I'm going to multiply the negative 1 times everything in the trinomial. So there's a lot of space. Negative 1 times 3y squared is negative 3y squared. I'm going to write it a little bit smaller so I have room. Negative 1 times negative 5y is positive 5y. Because negative 1 times negative 5 is positive 5, and I have y. And negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. So if you can't see that, it's negative 3y squared plus 5y minus 2, the last three terms. Now I have to combine like terms. And I'm going to go to purple to combine like terms. Do I have any more y to the fourths? No, I don't. So I'm just going to bring down the 6y to the fourth. And now I have y cubed. Do I have any y cubes? I have a 10y cubed and a 9y cubed. So negative 10y cubed plus 9y cubed is negative 1y cubed. But we don't put the 1 because Math Council 1508. We just leave it negative y cubed. If you put a 1, it's okay, but I'm not going to. And now our y squareds. I got a y squared. I'm going to do 2 lines for the y squareds. A negative 15y squared and a negative 3y squared. So 4y squared minus 15y squared is negative 11y squared. Minus 3y squared is negative 14y squared. Now again, remember, we're adding and subtracting so our exponents don't change. But I have 4 minus 15 minus 3. 4 minus 15 is negative 11 minus 3 is negative 14. And now we're going to see our y's. So I got a y, and I have 6y plus 5y, so that's plus 11y. And then I'm left with minus 2. So my final answer is 6y to the fourth minus y cubed minus 14y squared plus 11y minus 2. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the biggest issue here is writing so you can read what you wrote and staying organized. If it helps you to draw the loops and the arrows, draw the loops and the arrows. If it doesn't, then that's okay. But be organized. Now, before you come to Math Workshop, here are the 2 problems that I want you to do in your composition book. The first one is 2b squared d to the 5th times the quantity of 3bd minus 5b squared d to the 4th. And the second problem is the quantity of 3x minus 5 times the quantity of 2x squared plus 7x minus 8. Multiply both of those 2 polynomials, monomial by a binomial and a binomial by a trinomial. And then you can come to Math Workshop and we can make sure you got what you got. I know it's been a little while, so I'd like to give you some wise words of wisdom from Mr. Cohen's. Here's your wise words of wisdom from Mr. Cohen's for today. You can pick your friends, and you can pick your nose, but you should never pick your friend's nose.